Hello everyone, welcome to Fableheim and the second Dev Diary dev stream breakdown for Age of Wonders 4, The Rise from Ruin. And today, we are discussing the tomes. The 3 new tomes coming in Expansion Pass 3's Culture Pack on March 9th. The first part of this video will be talking all about the tomes that Luis has written up, and the second part will be breaking down the dev stream and pointing out all of the new things that I notice. You can find a link in the description to both the Dev Diary and Dev Stream if you'd like to peruse them for yourself. Greetings, combatants. My name is Luis and I am a senior designer at Tramp Studios. Today I will show you the new tomes that will make traversing the realms just a bit easier in the upcoming Rise from Ruin Culture Pack. And there they are. Magnificent. Tome of the Warbands. This is the Tier 1 tome. They are using this on the Dev Stream. I believe they began with it. The Tome of the Warband is a new Tier 1 tome that showcases a low mana, low magic tome for a more martial feel. It will help your units get stronger, recruit faster, and rally in combat quickly. The Lieutenant is a Tier 2 fighter unit specializing in supporting your other units and leading them to victory. Their certain weakness targets an enemy unit, causing all units of that type to gain 2 Sundered Defense and 2 Sundered Resistance. For example, if there are 5 piglets in combat, targeting one of them will inflict these negative status effects on all 5. This is very similar to the Amazon from Age of Wonders Planetfall, and will help deal with those doom stacks, which hopefully they're not bone dragons, but it will help against this. Lieutenant's Lead is a passive ability. It allows the Lieutenant to lead by example, strengthening an allied unit when it attacks, and granting bolstered defense and bolstered resistance if they entered defense mode. Hi, warrior. Oh, this is Bread for War. Bread for War is a minor transformation that grants your units plus 10 hit points. It also improves their morale loss in combat by 10%, plus an additional 10% for each adjacent friendly unit. This makes them tougher and more resilient, especially when fighting in formation. Visually, it adds these little red splotches, and it makes your character larger, so you can combine this with super growth to be real chonkin'. Other spells and unlocks. Mentorship. This Empire bonus grants all heroes an army property that gives the unit with the lowest experience amount in their army a passive experience gain each world turn. That is the 40 experience gain, expanding upon the now passive experience gain rework mechanics. The Training Regiment. When cast on a spell, the strategic spell increases its draft gain by plus 40 as long as you sustain the spell. Oh, that's good. I thought it was like a one-turn thing. This is so much better. Commander's Call, a tactical spell that heals and grants morale to all friendly units in a 1-hex radius. There it is with a... Oh, it's a rabbit, not a cat. It's like Beerus the Destroyer. No. So mentorship is... I'm going to repeat this most likely later on, but I feel like this expansion and the its accompanying patch, the Scorpion update, kind of explores a bit more, expands upon what it means to get a bonus from a tome. Because, we have a city structure here or there, a special SPI here or there, but for the most part, it's magic, enchantments, transformations, so on and so forth. But we'll see some things in a tome that are a little special. And hopefully they continue to expand upon that. And we can see that in the Tome of the Sandstalkers. The second tome on this pack is the Tome of Shifting Sands. How did I get Sandstalker? Oh. Was it called Sandstalker originally? Now it's Shifting Sands? Interesting. This tome is all about sand terrain, spreading it and exploiting it. Maybe it... Wait. I'm not sure which one it is. We'll find out. I have pictures later. So this tome actually comes with passives, which were also built into the Tome of the Arctic, the Cold Dark. I'm sure we'll talk about it, though. Just keep reading, Fabe. To lead our Nature Materium Sand-themed tome, what's better than a giant Sand Scorpion unit? This unit is a Tier 3 shield unit whose melee strikes ignore half of the target's defenses. Its signature ability, Debilitating Sting, is a full-action attack that deals high damage and applies multiple stacks of weakness and poison to the target. Additionally, the Sand Scorpion possesses a Sand Shift passive, which grants it a free action Bury ability when in Sand Provinces, allowing it to traverse the battlefield quickly and easily position itself to strike key targets with its Debilitating Sting. A combo Luis mentioned was, this is basically a free teleport behind something, and then flank bonus the crap out of it with the full action. Can be very strong. The Dune Stalker's minor transformation allows your units to become one with the desert. Units with this transformation gain increased speed, camouflage, and increased damage with their flanking attacks when on a sand province. It appears to be, it's very similar to one of the customization options, is like golden filigree. Very similar, but not quite. And this is the weapon. You can see a little bubbly. The Scorpion Venom Blades enchants your melee units with the deadly and debilitating poison of the Sand Scorpion. This enchantment grants their melee strikes a chance to weakness and poison their targets, and deal increased blight damage when flanking a unit. Flanking is good. Good. I'm a little, I don't want to say concerned is the right word, but I think Dune Stalkers might be a little more difficult to use, but it's very similar to the Frostling transformation, and I feel like that's kind of an oddball one, although this one's even more tied to sands. Other spells and unlocks. Desertification makes the target and adjacent provinces turn into provinces with sand terrain. This will help out with the dune stalking. Is there a way to get an automatic transformation? I'm not sure. Just to turn stuff into sand over time. Grand Bazaar is a new special province improvement that grants gold and gains further gold and food scaling with a number of adjacent sand provinces. Sand preference and desert farming are unblocked with the tome and grants your city some stability from sand provinces and allows you to build farms on them. Don't worry if you picked desert adaptation as a form trait at the start of the game, as you gain a further boost on food income on these farms to compensate. You gain one. There's no ass in there. So yeah, if you have a desert adaptation, this passive, it just gives you more food income on your farms. I think it's like +2. The Tome of the Warlord. This is the Apex Tome, and it has some very scary things in it. The Tier 3 Tome of the Warlord is a pure Warlord. A pure Chaos Tome that mixes martial prowess with the fiery forces of Chaos. It also has a theme of empowering Tier 3 and lower units. Look at that boy. The Warlord is the main unit of this tome. It is a Tier 4 mythic unit that combines the abilities of other specialized melee units, featuring a charge strike of a shock unit, the protective defenses mode of a shield unit, and the first strike of a polearm unit. This guy is going to be something. The Warlord acts as a commander with several free action command abilities that target units of a lower tier, all sharing a 2-turn cooldown. Command Retreat heals, grants very fast movement, and prevents the unit from provoking retaliation strikes when moving. Command Defend grants a unit an extra retaliation attack along with 5 stacks of bolstered defense and 5 stacks of bolstered resistance, providing a massive boost to defenses. Command Attack greatly buffs a unit's power by granting it 5 strengthen and 3 fortune. Through its command momentum property, the Warlord can refresh these command cooldowns when it scores a kill. Additionally, the Warlord grants a passive +1 defense and +1 resistance to all lower tier units via its Field Tactics passive. If that was a lot of words, I do have pictures for all this. But one thing I wanted to point out is the Warlord is always large, no matter what form you have. So it's a large rat, that sort of thing. Again, we'll see pictures, don't you worry. And the War Golem. The second unit in this tome is the War Golem, a summonable Tier 3 construct animated by infernal energies. Is that magic origin? Wait, is this a construct that's a magical origin? It is a magic fighter, a new unit type introduced with the free patch for this culture pack, meaning its magic strikes abilities is melee range but counts as magic, targeting resistance. Like its animal counterpart, these strikes also pierce enemy defenses, with the War Golem ignoring 50% of its target's resistance. Its special abilities are Fiery Shift and Infernal Ray. It's a laser beam. Fiery Shift lets the War Golem teleport to a desired location and inflict burning on all adjacent enemies. Infernal Ray is a 2-hex cone of flame and destruction, dealing damage, burning enemies, and setting the ground on fire. It also deals double damage to obstacles, making the War Golem a perfect siege unit, capable of teleporting behind enemy lines and destroying walls and weak targets along the path of its ray. So double damage to obstacles means they instantly break. That's how I'm interpreting this. Very strong unit. It's also a construct and a fiend. So you can kind of dip your toe in Tome of the Warlord as a, Chaos main or as a Materium main. Or both. Why not both? Relentless Might enchants your melee units with the power of Chaos. This grants them an extra retaliation and causes them to gain Infernal Might with each attack, which gives +1 fire damage per stack up to 5 stacks. It also grants +3% critical hit chance to Fiends, which on the Scorpion update, or the open beta right now, was bugged. It's been fixed. I don't know if the fix is live, but it was bugged. It no longer is, so if you're playing on the beta, just be aware of that. Other spells and unlocks. The Might of the Battlefield is a combat spell that buffs friendly units in a 2-hex radius with increased morale and a stack of Infernal Might. This effect is doubled for tier 3 units or lower. Conqueror's Edict is a siege project that at first grants all units participating in the siege the Siegebreaker passive, reducing the time of the siege. Then during the combat, various hexes are set on fire and all of your units gain increased critical hit chance. If victorious, the raising or migrating of the city is 1 turn faster. I mean, the Warlord is insane, but this might be low-key the best thing from this tome. This is actually crazy, because this is the first time Siegebreaker has been available to all sieging units, which means, is this 18 if you bring a Doom stack? 18 siege damage? We have to test that. That's going to be tested. Also, apparently they had a hard time like coding in this whole reduced time for raising and migrating, but they got it to work, so maybe we'll see more of this in the future. We'll see. I think this is a very powerful siege project. The Gladiatorial Pit is a pure economic structure that increases stability, gold, and draft in the city where it's built. And the Warforge is a special province improvement that grants draft, and then additionally, for each type of ore, magical material, it grants extra draft and gold for each unique ore. So you can have 4 of these bonuses. Which again, I have pictures, I have numbers. We'll see them in a moment. The Rise from Ruin Culture Pack comes out on March 9th. I hope what you've seen here inspires you to try more martial builds, combining the desert adaptation trait with a new Sandstalker's Tome for a cool desert-themed faction, or mixing and matching to create something that will dominate the competition, or simply look cool. We all know Fashion Souls is the real endgame here. Join us next week when Boss will share the dangers of the Astral Barons and the Cataclysm system. Cool, so those are the 3 new tomes. All in all, I think they're all very spicy, but Tome of the Warlord goes like above and beyond. I think this is going to be a disgusting tome. It's pure chaos as well, so you will need to have 3 chaos to unlock it. It's not one of those tomes that anyone can just like sidestep into, which is part of the reason they added an affinity requirement for tier 3, because everyone was sidestepping into that one nature tome whose name escapes me. But now that we've gotten through the dev diary, it's time for part 2. This will also include a lot of the tomes, because we got to take a look at them, of course, with Luis here, the person who designed them. So there'll be a little bit of redundancy, but we get to see pictures and numbers and all that good stuff. So this is the beginning. They had a little bit of a hiccup at the start where the intro was kind of cut off, but they got it going. This picture is just the roaming city income. So they have a special modifier for when a city is packed up and moving around, you can still see the gold it generates. You can do pretty much everything while a Nomad city is packed up. It's just it can't build and produce units. And of course, if it's attacked, it's an instant siege battle. So other than that, it's pretty much a fully functional city. The Nomad ships, when a city is packed up, are different based on their tier. So at tier 1, it's a single boat. At tier 2, it's 2 boats. At tier 3, it's a bigger boat. I thought there'd be 3 of them, but maybe there are. And at tier 4, it's very large. I believe we did see a tier 4 boat in the first dev diary. This little GIF. Did the music stop? I was listening to Age of Wonders 3 music, but it stopped, so we'll go back to Age of Wonders 4 music. This is the Lieutenant. Of course, we talked about him just a moment ago, but the Lieutenant's lead is very nifty. Playing around this might be difficult, because I'm going to have to remember to play with the Lieutenant first and position something nearby, but it could be really fun. It could be a lot of fun. This is the debuff in action. They're fighting a bunch of these little twigs, and, well, now all the twigs have debuffs. Nice. So the Tome of Pyromancy, fiery arrows is now fiery projectile, so it can benefit battle mages and support units and magic fighters, but that change was not brought over for frost arrows. Louise wasn't sure why. Like, he looked at it and chose not to do it, but now that this inflicts slow and not frozen, he might switch them in the future. We'll see. Something to keep an eye out on. These are the new changes for the Beast Wrangler. As you can see, the contracts are cheaper. I think the mounts are cheaper as well. Can't remember. There are so many patch notes. So for Arcane Artisans, this both works and does not work for the nomads. While a node is active, this will work like it will for everyone else. But once the gold mine has been harvested and you have its essence, this will no longer function. So Arcane Artisans is probably not something you'll want to get as the nomad culture, but if you can like plop down a bunch of mines all in one go, you will benefit from this until they get eaten at the harvester. They were showcasing what it looks like when you have a magic essence, a magic material essence in your city. You got this little special symbol and you can hover over it. Like that. You're carrying it with you. It stays with you always. This is a new type of ancient wonder, in a sense. There are 3 of these ruined wonders where they are just worse. I believe you can restore it, but they give you less effects, and it says that you can unlock the restore action, which turns an ancient wonder into a secret temple. There's one at bronze, silver, and gold. I believe the gold one is the world tree, and we'll see the bronze one in a moment. They're talking about which of the negative geography traits are worst, and it's probably Astral Barrens, was Luis's conclusion. Again, this is what it does if you didn't see it in the previous episode. But it can be pretty bad. Pretty dangerous. And Sunless was nerfed a little bit. Units can now regenerate in Sunless, but they regenerate -5 instead of no regeneration. So this was nerfed a little bit, or buffed, depending how you want to look at it, which is probably good. Probably good. Here we go. The other sealed wonder, or ruined wonder. I'm not sure if there's a specific name for them. But the Fey Ponds have the parched lake bed, which again is just broken, worn down, eaten away at by time. Okay, so it is the Tome of the Sandstalkers. Got it. Luis called it Shifting Sands as well during the stream, so I'm not sure. I don't know which one's right, but we'll just go with Sandstalkers for now. So over here on the side, we can see the passive effects that I think are really cool. They did have passives before, but those were for unlocking hero skills, right? I think. Which of course were removed. Yeah, you can see if you have a sand, it gives +2 city stability. You just unlock this the moment you pick up the tome. So provinces with sand give +2 city stability. The desert farmer, you can now build farms on sand terrains, and farms on sand terrain gain +5 food if your race already has desert adaptation. So it's even better than I thought it was. Is this basically just soil tenders then? Oh, you stack that. Ooh, that could be good. That could be good. Here's the Grand Bazaar. It's +7 gold income, and per adjacent province with sand, it's +3 gold and +4 food. Counts as a mine. Very nice. Money, money, money. We'll see the details of Dunestalkers in a minute. They're kind of blocked off. The Scorpion Venom Blades is the enchantment. Melee attacks have a 60% chance to inflict weakened and a 60% chance to inflict poison, +2 blight damage when flanking, and the effects are of course increased for single shots. And the Scorpion is a shield unit, so it will benefit from this. The base one anyway, this one. The certification is the terraforming spell. I was thinking, does the primal, one of the primal subcultures like sand? Would they be able to do this automatically? I'm not sure. I think so. The Sand Scorpion is a summon. As a tier 3, you do need the Wizard Tower Chambers to make this happen, though. And here is the Debilitating Sting. 2020 is not bad. That is a sizable amount of damage. And it's a guaranteed 3 weaken and guaranteed 2 poison. And you enter defense mode. On a 1-turn cooldown. This could be a gnarly boy. Sandstorm, you summon a Sandstorm in a 3-hex radius that lasts for 3 turns. This is a combat spell. Units passing through or ending their turn on this hex have a base 60% chance of becoming blind for 1 turn and become slowed for 1 turn, which means they have no retaliations, of course. Or they lose retaliation. And units with Sandwalk are immune to this effect. So it's kind of like a Devouring Void, but it's a debuff Devouring Void, and you can stand in it yourself if you have the Dunestalker. Right here. This is a minor racial transformation. It gives you Sandwalk, Sand Camouflage, and when you're on sand terrain in combat, you gain very fast movement and 20% flanking damage. So you can like aggressively place your desertification to gain the bonuses of Dune Stalkers. Otherwise, it doesn't provide you any bonus, actually. So the Cataclysm meter, we talked about this, of course, last time, how the Cataclysm works and all that, but they noticed that they accidentally triggered it, and I found the moment that it goes off. It goes off when you cast a spell here, not when you, like, select the spell to cast. So they were watching this meter very carefully to not overflow it again, because the person who triggers it gets all of the grievances against them. So that's something you can keep an eye on, but the AI did well holding this later, so they basically forced the devs to trigger the Cataclysm, which was funny. But, yeah, important thing to keep in mind. Or not, if you're really trying to just run it down. So they did walk into one of the Fated regions. I won't go over it, because, of course, it's spoilers if you care about such a thing. But, this Fated, the Crackling Mesa had events that were both combats, or could be resolved peacefully to trigger the final phase of it. And the Terra Fracture was the one thing I wanted to show off. They never fought in this region yet, but you could be hit by a Terra Fracture every other turn. The target hex becomes marked. Units in a 2-hex radius of the marked hex have a 60% chance of receiving Disrupted, so their enchantments go away. And after one turn, the marked hex explodes and inflicts a following on a 2-hex radius. Units suffer 48 physical damage, have a 60% chance to become Mana Drain, and each hex has 20% chance of creating a Mana Fracture obstacle, which has the draining and spread to adjacent hexes when spells are cast. Yeah, fighting this is going to be questionable. Yeah, so this is the events that they got going for this Crackling Mesa. They were... I think all in all you always activate the sigils, but the whole idea was they wanted to activate the sigils to get to the big, scary thing at the end. And they haven't concluded this yet, but I think that's their goal for next time, to see this Fated region through. And I just wanted to point out, I made Blint the Unmaker for the Eldritch Realms, but apparently the Unmakers were always coming. They were inevitable. And I'm going to see if I can stick him in somehow, lore-wise. But these are one of the Fractured units, the Fractured Evoker. And they have the Mana Drain, which is a full action. It deals damage, chance to become disrupted, and a chance to become Mana Drain, which is, of course, a new debuff, where the unit cannot use magic, support, or debuff abilities. So you really want to bring archers to deal with these characters, or physical range units, I'll say. But yeah, with the new defense and resistance system, this physical damage will, of course, be against resistance and not defense like it is in the live game. Mana Starved. I believe all the Fractured units are Mana Starved, where they gain Strengthen and Regeneration for 3 turns when it applies Disrupted or Mana Drain, or when you hit it with a magical attack. So these could be very scary if you're, like, leaned all the way into magic. You start hitting them and they start getting stronger. Could be tough. I noticed that the fleeting Fractured Infestation from the Cataclysm is in fact fleeting, in that they destroy themselves after a little bit of time. I don't think it's 6 turns. I think it was just at 6 turns when they found this one. Here, the Scorpion Venom Blades, you can kind of see the bubbling venom. They did a pretty tough fight, and they did it well. But I noticed this elephant here is a summon, and this is now blue. And I believe that's a great change. This is the combat summon icon. And great change. They use a spell to try and make their leader stronger, give him some loot. But unfortunately, it triggered the 40% backfire, and he was knocked this way. He was in a perfect flanking position, and now he's not. Although he still ended up, flanking to good efficacy. But yes, that's one of the backfires. The target unit can be teleported. Great. When casting spells in combat, it doesn't affect the Cataclysm meter, but it does play with backfire. So, I suppose that's worth keeping in mind. They're talking about how the camel has like a little desert map on it, which is cute. Nice little details. The Scorpion update introduced a slight rework, pretty significant rework to animals, and pretty much any animal owned by a player or free city will have the Combat Trained passive, which gives them plus 10 hit points, plus 1 defense, and plus 1 resistance. I think I am going to do an animal build on the Scorpion update beta for the Blint Saga. I really want to try out all this animal stuff, and I have a great idea. We're going to try out a lot of things all in one go, and they all wrap up together nicely. So yeah, in the future, just beware. Animals may be a little stronger from other players. So they captured a Silver Wonder for the first time, and the passive of the Wonder Essence for the Scavenger Nomads, specifically, scales with the tier of the Wonder. So because it's a tier 2, or a silver tier Conduit Wonder, this gives 4 mana per essence that the city has, and plus 15 city stability. So this could scale out of control very quickly. Very, very quickly. And at the very end, they showed off the Tome of the Warlord. They were just taking a peek ahead to showcase this while the Tome designer was here. And now it's time for numbers. Some terrifying numbers. So Relentless Might is, of course, the unit enchantment. This adds +1 retaliation attack to all of your melee units and Infernal Might when it attacks. I imagine this stacks with Super Growth, and you could just have basic units with 3 retaliation attacks, fair and balanced. The Warlord, of course, is the big old chungus, the apex, if you will, of the units that we can get. And here he is in all of his glory. You can see there's a rat here, and he is a full-sized rat. A big boy. So here are the commands, if you would like the details. These are free actions with 3 range, and they all share a cooldown, which is 2 turns. Well, you can only do... all command cooldowns on this unit go into cooldown. When you use one, they all go on cooldown, but they individually have a 2-turn cooldown, so you can't spam them all out in one go. Well, maybe. We'll talk about that in a second. So Command Retreat, this is the support one at 3 range. The target friendly tier 1, 2, or 3 unit gains 40 temporary hit points, gains very fast movement, and gains Slippery. This is for getting in or out of trouble. More out than in, but maybe you want to run it down. Their Charge Strike has War Veteran, so it has plus 20% critical hit chance. Remember, they have Charge Strike. They also have First Strike, so if something comes to hit them, they're going to get bunked pretty good. Well, they won't have the bonus charge damage, but it's still going to be a single shot to the face. Their Defense Mode button is insane. This extends. It has the shield, so it goes around it. It gets plus defense, plus resistance. Its zone of control is all around it. It has immune to flanking, and all adjacent friendly units gain +1 defense, +1 resistance, and charge resistance, which it has built into it. I think this is going to be a very terrifying frontliner. Of course, there's the First Strike. I tried to get these 3 in a row, and I guess I forgot to get rid of that other one, but that's okay. So the Command Retreat, then Command Defend. The target friendly tier 1, 2, or 3 unit gains +1 retaliation attack. Okay. And +5 bolster defense and +5 bolster resistance for 3 turns. The retaliation attack is only for 1 turn. And then the Command Attack is the target friendly tier 1, 2, or 3 unit gains +5 strengthen and +3 fortune for 3 turns. So that's max buffs for the offense ability. Now, the reason why I said you couldn't use them all in 1 turn, technically, is because of command momentum. On unit kill, reset the cooldowns of all command abilities. I'm not sure if this is their shared cooldown or just like the individual command cooldown, because technically, as a mythic unit, you could give a command, run in, bonk something, get killing momentum because of your champion trait, command something again, and then smack with the command momentum, unless it doesn't reset the shared cooldown. So lots to test with this boy. He could be very scary. And of course, the field tactics, the tier 1 and tier 2 units in the army have +1 defense and +1 resistance. There was someone in my community who, when they first reworked how the bonus levels for drafting worked, as a barbarian, they were able to print legendary tier 1 skirmishers, and they would just flood the field with them. This would make them even more terrifying. But you can't do that anymore. Although you can still print them 2 elites or 2 champion or something? Things to test. Here's Conqueror's Edict. This is the Siege project. All friendly units gain Siegebreaker while sieging. Again, I want to test that, because is it really going to be everyone participating in the siege, or is it just everyone that initiates the siege? There's going to be a big difference there. During battle, all phone units gain 15% critical hit chance in battle, and random hexes are set on fire. If victorious, raising and migrating the city requires one less turn. This is going to be so much fun. Is this the best siege portrait in the game? It's up there. The reworked dragon one's pretty good. It's up there. It's up there. Might of the Battlefield is a combat buff spell. All friendly units in a 2x radius gain Infernal Might and plus 15 morale. And of course, it is doubled for tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 units. There are a lot of tier 3 units that are super scary. And, well, they're scarier now. Gladiatorial Pit is the city structure with plus 20 draft, plus 10 gold, and plus 10 city stability. As a city structure, this is a city structure, not a throne city structure, so you can build it in every city. There's Conqueror's Edict again. It was so scary, I took another picture. Here's the Infernal Might. Attacks have plus 1 fire damage. Fiend units gain plus 3 critical chance. Can attack up to 5 times. Effects are increased for the single shot attack. So this really leans into a Fiend build, but even if you're not doing a Fiend build, it doesn't matter. Also, it says Fiend. So that could also mean a Cursed Fiend, if you're feeling spicy. Here's the Warforged. This is the SPI for the Tome of the Warlord. Plus 20 draft income per available or type available to your empire. Gain plus 5 gold, plus 10 draft, counts as a mine. So that can be, at most, plus 20 gold, plus 40 draft. Which is kind of crazy. And here is the War Golem to finish things off. Isn't he beautiful? Magic fighter. Good stuff. The Infernal Ray, of course. This is a 2-hex cone. It's 15 fire damage baseline. Units sustain damage. Units gain 2 burning, so it's a guaranteed burn chance, and hexes are set on fire. Deals double damage to obstacles, which should instantly destroy them. The Fiery Shift is a free action teleport, 3 range. Move to target hex, then all adjacent enemies gain burning. Magic Strike is a repeating fire attack that has a 60% chance to inflict burning, and of course it's breaching, so it ignores 50% of the target's resistance. Tier 3, 90 health, 4 defense, 3 resistance. I don't know if you want to just run it down with a Fiery Shift, but some tactical use of this guy seems like he's going to be very scary. Here's just what he looks like. He's a summon. So again, I think he is a magical origin unit. I don't think constructs are supposed to be, but he's also a fiend, so maybe it's like a, a mixture of the two. And at the very end, they showed off a little bit of the Pantheon rewards, because they weren't sure if the Warlord armor is in the game, and I don't believe it is. Thomas thought maybe it was kind of like reused a little bit for the nomads. They're like cultural armor. At least, the plate part that they have. But they didn't see it here in the Pantheon, which does have the Fractured Head Evoker, which is a new helmet customization for heroes. The Fractured Evoker outfit, again, more hero customization. The Fractured Evoker cape. The Defense Mode Nullify active ability infusion. So on a shield, you can put Defense Mode Nullify. 1 Archon Blood, 1 Astral Dew, 1 Arcanium More. That's pretty expensive. I don't know what this does. But I'm assuming you go on Defense Mode and you remove debuffs, maybe? That'd be my guess. The Fractured Eagle Mount, which is a new mount customization for your ruler and your race. Okay. The Mancatcher Staff is a new staff variant in the item Forge. And there's a new infusion for Subdue, which is a very powerful ability that is quite uncommon. Is it just the Overseer who has it by default? There's another way to subdue. I don't remember how, though. Applied to a wand or a staff. 1 Archon Blood, 1 Silver Tongue Fruits. That might be good, because subdue is just you remove a unit from combat while it's weakened or stunned or something. But it's a 3-turn channel, I think. So this could be very powerful. Very powerful. And there's another infusion where you can summon a Spirit Hawk. Apply to a wand or a staff for 1 Astral Dew. More summons, more good. And that was the last of the pictures. It means time for my handy-dandy notebook. These are all the things that were said in the stream that I didn't really have pictures for, but wanted to note. There wasn't as much as there was the first episode, so don't worry. The Fracture Transformation is obtainable for players through the new Faded Region, one of the artifacts they give allow you to use the Fractured Major Transformation if you want to. But outside of that, it is not attainable. There may or may not be plans to investigate dual affinity tier 5 tomes. I take that one with a heavy grain of salt. They were answering a question from chat. But their answer was like, we never rule anything out. And when I say we never rule anything out, it means, maybe. You know? There are no unique rewards for clearing a fractured infestation from the Cataclysm. And again, those have Call to Chaos disabled. Tom did say that he wanted to rework it so it would work and not be exploitable, but we'll see. We'll see. Luis's favorite tome of this DLC is the tome of the Shifting Sands. The Sand Stalking. And Functionality in Tome of Warlord and Aesthetics. That's also Thomas's. And I can see why now, after perusing the Tome of the Warlord, which was designed to be very martial in nature, but also a powerful stepping stone to Fiend synergies. And I can see why. The Ruined Wonders, yes, the Fey Pond, the Temple, and then the tree. We think it's the World Tree. The Fractured Unit's appearance was inspired by magic being like sucked into a void, but I'm sure we'll hear more about that when the art team has their turn. No promises, but Luis is looking into making the Tome of Crimson Rain more synergistic with Chaos Tomes. So we'll see. I think he said Chaos Tomes. This is really... I paraphrased that from a roundabout question. Something like that. The devs tend to look at one affinity at a time when they do these tome reworks. This update was Chaos, of course. But the next one might be Shadow or Materium. I would expect it to be Astral for Secrets of the Archmage, but hey, they do them. You can recruit Sandworms by using Call Greater Animal on Sand Terrain or Astral Barons, although it's a very small chance with Astral Barons. Nomad cities will lose their sustained spells when they pack up. So the garrison one we looked at earlier, if you have that on a Nomad city, when you pack it up, it will be disabled. It'll just turn off. So you have to recast it, which is a minor, nerf to their culture. But I can't think of many spells where it's like, okay, I need to keep this sustained all the time. Not sure. Luis may look into more Shadow Tome synergies for the Umbral Fiends, which I think would be cool. They've kind of been left alone since Eldritch Realms. For the most part, they did get some Fiend synergies just by nature being a Fiend, but yeah. DLC 10, which I think is Secret of the Archmage, has a really cool, quote-unquote, unit coming that took some discussion to arrive at. We'll see. Is that really DLC 10? Huh. My, how time flies. The Nomad cities were changing names when unpacking during the stream, but that was a bug that has been fixed in the current version. And of course, it'll be fixed on the day one version. And the Spellblade is getting reworked eventually. Thomas was not happy with the Spellblade's current situation. And honestly, neither am I. But that's okay. Hopefully one day it will come and it shall be glorious. But that was everything I have for you from the second Dev Diary and Dev stream. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the new tomes and if I am right to be terrified, shaken in my trousers of this one. I think this is going to be, I wouldn't say meta-defining, but definitely hogging the tier 3 slot. Definitely. Thank you to patrons and the Charm Sport channel. I greatly appreciate you. If you'd like to stay up to date with anything happening on channel, feel free to join the Discord description down below. And I will see you next week to see what Boss has to say.